All right. All right. So some new Avenger rumors, Doomsday. So they want to apparently Marvel wants to keep things under wraps. Finally. They're doing a lot of those chair announcements, but this time there's a few of them they want to keep under wraps. So we'll discuss that. I mentioned yesterday, I know that you guys were interested and a lot of you have checked out the AKA Charlie Sheen Netflix doc. We talked to my buddy Andrew Freed, who produced it, among countless other things, but we talk about that. We have some other news and other things, but I think last week what we did was really good. We had I just really had a chat with the audience in general about the things that I'm working on and just a lot of different things. And it was just kind of an industry kind of shoot the shit talk. And it was you guys who said you should do more of those. So that's what we're going to do today. Yes, we'll cover some stories and all that and more, but that's what we're doing. So make sure you click the like button, comment, do all that. It is the Kristian Harloff Show here today on this Wednesday. Let's do it. Welcome back to the show here today, guys. It's Wednesday. Last week, it was a lot. Was it 2 weeks ago? I think I gave you guys some updates on the show and what we're doing with the show and how we're getting close. And you guys did kind of like a full on casting suggestion. And I'll tell you that during that time where we were doing ideas and stuff for casting and thoughts about the Kickstarter, Patreon, somebody gave me a suggestion for one of the cast, and it is just stuck in my mind of like, oh, that is like would be so ideal if we could get someone like that. So we'll talk about that. And as I also mentioned, we can get Andrew in here, who's such a great mind in the business. I consistently call him Midas because everything the guy does and produces and it just he's got such a good sense to how this works. And he did it again with the AKA Charlie Sheen doc. He's done Welcome to Wrexham, Chef's Table, the Val doc. I mean, Cheer, the list goes on and on. So we'll be discussing that and talking to him about that. Okay. So we were looking at some stories and there are a few. So I figured we just start with this one. And that is that there's a new rumor. Marvel intends to keep some Avengers Doomsday characters under wraps until the movie's release. So this is from Comic Book Movie. And they say from Mark Cassidy back in March, Marvel Studios officially announced the start of production of Avengers Doomsday with a 5-hour live stream revealing the name of 27 cast members. Some were expected, others rumored. Few, such as the OG X-Men actors, came as a surprise, but there were several names conspicuous by their absence. Marvel has strongly hinted that a second announcement is on the way, but even if we do get another batch of chairs confirming the likes of Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, Elizabeth Olsen, the center of the Cosmic Circus, Alex Perez, believes the studio intends to keep certain actors and characters under wraps until fans are sitting down to watch the movie. Some of these characters are new, some of these characters are old, and some of legacy. The goal is to not reveal them until the release of Doomsday. Even if I did mention who they're planning to involve, we'd be stuck in this limbo of will they, won't they for the next year or so. But most of the characters that haven't been officially announced have either been rumored by me, other scoopers, or YouTubers. This isn't the first time we've heard that at least a couple of characters will be making their MCU debut in Doomsday, with previous rumors pointing to the Beyonder, unlikely, and possibly some of the upcoming X-Men reboot cast members. One thing's for certain, Doomsday and Secret Wars are both shaping up to be massive films. And now whether or not they have faith in it is going to pull it off, yada, 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 yada. I kind of think surprises are necessary, and you should. I think there because I think that's one of the fun things what they were able to do, and they did it, and it's not easy to do because of all this scooping and leaks and things of that nature. Most people didn't know Wesley Snipes was in it. Everybody thought it wasn't going to be him, or thought, I think some people thought, was it Omar Epps? It wasn't. Who was it? I think it was who played him. I can't remember. No, he played him in Major League 2. His character. Shoot. Well, whoever it was, I think that played Blade in the TV show. You guys will tell me a million times over in the comments, but I think that was the rumor who was going to play Blade in Omar. It was Omar Epps. Okay, all right. I was wrong. Who's this? Who's calling me now? Oh, my friend who I haven't talked forever calls me right as I go live. Perfect. Anyway, so I feel like, oh yeah, in the TV show it was Sticky Fingers from On It. And okay, Sticky. Okay. Well, either way, I think that there's rumor that it wasn't going to be him, and so they kept it under wraps. They were able to do that. There are other things. I think they kept Jennifer Garner under wraps for the most part, right? I think so. So either way, I think it makes it fun for the audience if you do get some surprises. I do also think it's smart to get people hyped with how many people are going to be in this movie in the same way that they did. Look, another one that they kept under wraps was the Henry Cavill thing, and if they do things like that, and like we said yesterday too, there's probably gonna be like a cameo soup. I mean, that's just what it's gonna be at this point, but you also have to have a structured story. And I think that if they know where they're going with it, that's why I said this. That's why when Mike asked us on the show what we thought as far as runtime, that's why I went like higher in the 240s because there's only so much time. If especially if you're spending, depending on how much money they're spending on all this, if you're spending all this money, you want to make sure you're going to get your bang for your buck, right? And you want to spend the cash on it. And you want to make sure, hey, if I'm putting money into this production, I don't want to just have a 2-hour movie. I want to make sure so and so gets this amount of time. This person gets this amount of time. They're filming it back to back. So you're going to get some more scenes from some people that if it's shorter in this one, it'll be longer in that one. I don't know if you're going to get, as they said, the reboot X-Men in Doomsday. You'd probably get somebody in Secret Wars, but I don't think you're going to get him in Doomsday. I think it makes sense in Secret Wars to do it to at least in a movie that big to tease the audience. That is something I think you need to do. So I'm not sure. There's a lot of rumor. There's another rumor that came out about Avengers Secret Wars. I didn't want to go over it because it was like story specific. This is different. When it's like this kind of rumor of, well, Marvel wants to keep things quiet. It then starts a conversation of us saying, well, should they keep it quiet? And I think most of us say there's things that you should keep quiet. There are other ones that you should talk about. There was another one that I discussed with Luke this morning about doing, and it's a story stuff. And I didn't want to do that for you guys because I don't want to assume that you want to know what the story's about. You probably want to go into it fresh. Maybe some of you do, some of you don't. You can read those rumors for yourself. But I don't want to be. I just had this whole conversation with somebody, Tom Shadowbash, friend of the show, and OG YouTube guy, who I see at these New York screenings all the time, and I like Tom. He's a really nice guy, and he's a good critic, by the way. You should follow his channel if you haven't done that. But Tom is I see him at the screenings, and we both saw Big Bold Beautiful Journey, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here. I'm sure he already has the review or something too. He didn't love it. He didn't love it, and I certainly didn't love it, but I didn't mind it as much as he did because he had seen the trailer. He had seen and watched the trailers. I don't watch trailers for movies anymore on that level because especially if I know that I'm going to see them in the theater, because I know, and I am very clear about this. I know I have the luxury of doing that over a lot of you guys who don't. Because, for example, Big Bold Beautiful Journey, if I was like, oh, you're going to go check it out in the theater, you're going to say, well, I don't know if I want to spend my money on that. I'm not going to spend my money on that. Why would I? I don't know what it is. And then you watch the trailer, and apparently the trailer is different from the movie that they did. I wouldn't know. What I saw is kind of a quirky movie. It's kind of trying to do what Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind did, which that's one of my favorite movies of all time. It doesn't necessarily accomplish that, but by the end of it, it's like a feel good streaming movie. And I was like, fine. Is it a great movie? Is it a good movie? Do I recommend you see it in the theater? Probably not. But my point is that Tom had seen this trailer and was expecting one thing and got something different. So I think it is important sometimes to, pay attention to what's coming. There's certain ways you want to market a film, but I like being surprised. And I wish that you could get into a place where, hey, we all want to see Avengers and we can't keep ourselves away from it too, right? And there are, obviously, you watch this channel, there are things that I am watching, like the big trailers and stuff I usually watch. And there's just the smaller ones. I like to go surprise now. I just like to go surprised, not knowing what I'm about to walk into. Most notably, the three that really stood out to me that were The Long Walk. Weapons, I wish I hadn't seen a damn thing, but I saw that scene the day before, which really pissed me off. But The Long Walk was something I knew nothing about. Really, Drop was another one. I really like doing that now. So, anyway, what does everybody else think? Do you want to see these reveals? Do you not want to see these reveals? Do you think there should be more? Put your thoughts in there and let me know. So, I tell you, we're going to do a couple more stories, but today I really want to have a conversation with you guys. I can't even tell you how helpful that was last week with the status of where we are with the show right now and the things we're doing with the show, the cast we're going for, the scale of the production we're trying to go for. We really want to put together a show that looks like it could live on Netflix, at Apple, Amazon, all that stuff. So having that conversation with you guys, the ones that are here, the Wednesday show is always the show that people come in and like you guys like the diehards, and we have a conversation, and you guys can tell me what you think about certain things. Like I said, there were ideas, and this is what we talked about. I think a couple of you suggested it last week, and I agree. Certain ideas and thoughts of things that I could offer on the Kickstarter, which there was a great suggestion last time at the footage that you would get at a certain tier and all that. So I'm gonna go through that, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. And then we have some more stories and other things, and I'll probably do again a couple different thoughts on the movies I saw this week. Go over some of the things that I did thus far. Yeah, I went to a Mets game yesterday, by the way, and they won. So look at that. It was good luck. It was nice just hanging out with my friends, being at the stadium. I know. Yankee fans are like, what are you doing? It was easy. We made it into Queens, and I like that stadium. It's a nice stadium. They have good food there too. That's strange to say, but it was good. Anyway, so we'll get into all that. So let me tell you guys real quick about our good friends over. I think. Wait a minute. You guys know I've been talking to you guys about. Okay, I wanted to make sure I was talking about Cash App this week. I've been telling you about Cash App. Well, I'll tell you, but again, here you go. And I'm so glad to finally talk to you guys about Cash App. I've been using Cash App forever, and now I get to talk to you guys about it. Don't worry, it's very easy, fast to sign up. Do you even know how much interest your money is earning you in your bank account right now? Well, let me tell you some stuff. Cash App can do way more than you think to make your money work for you. If you direct deposit at least $300 in paychecks each month and use the Cash App card for purchases, you can earn up to 4% annual interest on your savings. There's no hidden fees, no minimum balance requirements. Also, you can hit your saving goals even faster by turning on the Roundups feature on your Cash App card. With Roundups, every purchase you make using the card is rounded up to the nearest dollar, and that spare change is automatically put into your savings. Don't let your money sit around and gather dust. Make it work for you. Take advantage of high interest savings on Cash App today. For a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use our exclusive code and earn some additional cash. For real, just download the Cash App, use our exclusive referral code, Kristian, in your profile, send $5 to a friend. Within 14 days, you're going to get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial service platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partner. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, members FDIC, direct deposit, roundups, overdraft coverage, and discounts provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosure. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited. A couple months ago, I had my good buddy on the show. He's been on many times, but he kind of soft teased something the last time he was on. He said, when I have something to discuss, your audience and you will like this. And he's right. I did. I knew it immediately, and I refer to this man as Midas, and he did it again. This is the Charlie Sheen doc that is currently 2 parts on Netflix right now. Who doesn't know Charlie Sheen? Winning, amongst many other things that he was had accomplished in his career. And I bring on my good friend, Andrew Freed. Andrew, what's going on, man? How did you get involved in this one? I love that. That's always my first question to you is, how'd you get involved in this one?
It's a good place to start. It's great to see you, Kristian. Really always look forward to doing this. And at this stage, I'm just trying to produce things that will be worthy of you inviting me to be on your podcast. That's really,
I like that. I like that. We got to find more. We got to find more.
To engage with your community as honestly as I have now for a very long time. It's a very cool thing. This morning when I was walking in here and sort of running because I was about 2 minutes late, but I saw somebody and I said, I'm going to do Kristian's podcast. It's just, anyway.
I love that. That's
good. You could include that in your edit or not, but I sincerely feel that. I like being here. Anyway, how do we get involved with Charlie Sheen?
Yes.
We went after him. I work with a filmmaker named Andrew Renzi, who is the mastermind and creative visionary of this entire project. We made Pepsi Where's My Jet with him.
Yeah. Does he come to you and say, hey, listen, I've been thinking about doing this? Or you guys randomly in a conversation started talking about Charlie Sheen? Like, what's the conversation with the two of you that brings up, hey, let's go after Charlie?
I think the beauty of working with people over time, and in Renzi's case, to call him Andrew would be pretty funny. In Renzi's case, we have an exclusive deal with him. His company is North of Now. Boardwalk has an exclusive overall deal with them. And because when we worked with him on Pepsi Where's My Jet, we knew that there was magic happening, and the opportunity to sort of lock in and give him and his somewhat younger company what they need to like do all the things that they dream about doing, quite honestly, is like the biggest thrill of this whole life that I've carved out for myself. And so he sat down, we talk, over time, over weeks, over months. Coming out of Pepsi Where's My Jet, there's almost an instinct, I think, to forensically understand why it was the success it was. Pepsi, that project got really big numbers, got a big response. It was creatively cool. It was, it was different, right? And candidly, and I've said this to Renzi, like, given the topic, given the 5-minute sizzle reel that was made for that project, the Pepsi project, he made I call it a movie even though it was a limited series, but he made a movie that is not the movie I would have made. Like, his creative lens is very different than mine, but it's very pure to him. Like, I believe it's not shtick. I believe it's how he sees the world and how he wants to tell stories and how he connects with his audience, and it's frenetic and it's different and it's younger and cooler than me, also. And so over time, you're talking about, like, forensically, why did that work, and what do people want, and what does the marketplace want, and we were also he was an executive producer on our Paul American series. He had really made that happen. And so in the spirit of just like big, right? Everyone wants big. What's big? What would be killer? What could we go after? And he says, I'm going to try to do a film with Charlie Sheen. And it took him months of first getting initial contact with Charlie and then convincing someone who said, thank you, but no. Like,
he said no right away initially?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, he was not interested in that.
Yeah.
And I think what Renzi's appeal, and he would tell the story better than me, but I think what Renzi's appeal to Charlie was not that, like, it's going to be this confessional, we're going to make it was not like a 2025 conversation about brand and a confessional and a reintroduction. I really don't think it was any of that. I think Renzi convinced Charlie, and he's right in this, that you're the last one of this. Like, there will never be another Charlie Sheen. Mm-hmm. If you watch the film, you'll see all the reasons why. But, like, in a modern world, there would be no way for a Charlie Sheen to ever exist again.
No way.
And most of the things that he encounters in his life, anyway, so for better, for worse, or indifferent, I think they headed on this journey together a few years ago. Well, no, still just a couple of years ago.
Now, had Charlie written a book at that point, or was it afterwards?
I think that the process of writing a book was happening all at the same time.
Okay,
So
that makes sense.
I first met Charlie in the summer of 23. Lindsay had been.
That's not true.
That's pretty good, Kristian.
Tell the audience how you met him for the first time. Come on.
That's pretty good. So, once upon a time, Kristian, I was doing stand-up at the Luna Park there on Robertson, and I got up one night and just must have utterly crushed with my witty banter and improv around topics like temping in offices or my bar mitzvah or sorry,
it's cutting stuff.
Or the ingredients in the new Wow Doritos. I know. It's good stuff. Anyway, so I was cast to play a role that I interpreted to be a French employee, maybe with the name Guy. But everybody on set insisted on calling me Guy.
Okay.
I was Guy. And I was on Spin City, and the significance of it and why I am trying to be, light about it, but it was a big deal for me. I got my SAG card. I was on Spin City, and it was Charlie Sheen's first episode on Spin City. He was replacing Michael J. Fox, who had come out saying that he was sick and couldn't continue to do the show at that time. They were going to continue this franchise. They were going to move it from New York to LA. They were going to replace the main character of Michael J. Fox with a new character that is taking his job, and that was Charlie Sheen. And so it was a very high stakes day. For me personally, it was also like a day with Gary David Goldberg, who is an absolute hero of mine and has been since I was a little kid, for any number of reasons. And it was just a big day, and it was, and I've since shared this story with Charlie, and I've shared it in a way to like put a little bit out there to see if he has any recall of any of it. And
well, I guess he was sober at that point, right? So
and what you'll also learn if you watch the film is he does have a pretty vivid memory, right? And so like there are things he remembers, there are things he doesn't, but his first day doing Spin City is a day that he kind of remembers very vividly.
Sure.
And so it's not like he remembers me, though we did have moments that day. Because he didn't, this was a show that moved, and this was what he remembered as we were talking about it on my couch. But the show had moved together. All these people who had lived and worked in New York were now living and working in LA, and they had all just come en masse. And CBS Radford is a kind of cool set. If you've ever been there, like it's like camp. And when the sun's setting at just the right time of day over these like bunk-like buildings at the Radford lot, and the audience is loading in, like it really does feel like the camp play. In the coolest way, honestly. It's a very pure memory for me. So all these people from New York had come and are doing the show. It's Heather Locklear, it's Richard Kind, it's Alan Ruck, Michael Boatman, I think the other actor was. So there's a lot going on there, and they've all been making this show, and they've decided to keep it going. And Charlie Sheen shows up with what he would only describe as a tour bus.
Okay.
A massive fucking
tour bus.
Yeah. Like, we're on these, I described it in these like nice little bunks with like this is nice. We're just gonna like get out of the showers and we're gonna go. I was like, it was crazy that I was even there watching it, but they're all like, we're gonna go and then we're gonna make our little thing. And he has like Led Zeppelin's tour bus or like Metallica's tour. Like, it's just this massive thing, and everybody's on their paper plates at catering, and rock star. As he explained to me recently, he got rid of the tour bus like a week later, and that ended up being a very positive experience, I think, for everybody. But that was the funny about that day. But yes, that is when I met Charlie Sheen
initially. So it's curious. I would be honest with you. I was just because I know that story, obviously, because that's right around the time we started hanging out, and I was hoping when they showed that, because they talked about his first day, I was hoping that I was going to see that scene.
So it's funny because at some point very late in the project, I don't want to say the project was done, but it was very late that Renzi sent me a clip of me on Spin City, which means that he had it. I don't know when he had it, but the truth is he's not in that. Charlie's not in that scene.
Oh, he's not in that particular.
No, my scene, my awesome scene was with Alan Ruck.
Oh,
Boatman.
Okay, that's right. Okay, that makes sense then. All right, so you have that. That's probably also a good conversation to then have with Charlie, break the ice. So if you're
yeah. So where I was in the story was that I first met Charlie in the summer of 23, and Renzi had probably been into it already for several months with him, not making the film, but sort of getting to the starting line.
Yeah.
And now it's coming out in September, and it's a big success for everybody, I believe.
Yeah, and I think, and you and I spoke about it on the phone the other day too, and I think that one of the things that I think he's done very well was you see him all over the place right now, and he's really promoting it. He's talking about it on Rogan. He's talking about these other things. He's getting the word out there, and it's interesting because I think it's, as a fan of Charlie Sheen, you're watching. It's something that John Cryer said that seemed like it was. It's like what Charlie goes through in his life. It seems like, and you guys document this inside of it, is that he does well, he succeeds, he falls into the pit, he comes out of it, succeeds again, falls into the pit, succeeds again. Is this the succeeds again? And are you guys, now that you have a relationship with him, afraid that he might fall into the pit again? It's
a great question. It's also the right question, right? It's like a grown-up's question, because this drug of Hollywood, even when you're sober, that drug doesn't quit, right? Like, I was on a red carpet with Charlie Sheen last week, and it is an exhilarating thing to watch him, right? Like, when I say I was on a red carpet with Charlie Sheen,
I know what you mean.
But exactly when I get there is when everybody like reloads the camera. Like, you think people you think people don't shoot on film anymore? You think that they're all digital, and yet at the exact moment that I walk up, everybody magically like opens the back of these cameras and needs to do something. But to watch him in that environment is to just be aware, at the very least, of all of the chemical things that are happening in someone's body as this is happening for them again. I think that if you were to ask certain people very close to him why they're not in the movie, I suspect that would at least be part of the answer, right? Which is to say, like, who knows where we are in the journey? And these are my words, no one else's word. But who knows where we are in this journey? And I'm going to be there regardless. So maybe I'm not supposed to be a part of this, which is not saying anything disparaging about the people who are in it. But, Martin Sheen is many years sober, very understanding of the journey that his son is on. And, it's the right question.
Yeah, you can see it as a father. It's like, look, and I think you just summed it up. I'll be there for my son whenever he needs me, but I don't need to be on camera to do it. I understand that. That makes sense. Yeah.
That's just me sort of superimposing my fatherliness onto it. But
even if you didn't say that, that's what I would have assumed anyway, because that's probably the stance that I would take if that journey was going on continuously, especially when you covered. I remember vividly I was in college when the major thing that happened to him, where he was in the hospital and his dad made the the statement and all that. I remember that very clear. And so when all that was going through the documentary, it's crazy to kind of relive it because you forget, just how big of a movie star the guy was. I mean, he was massive. I mean, all the stuff that he had done, and selfishly, I wanted 20 minutes on Major League. I wanted all these things. I would kill to see the all the interview stuff, because I'm sure they talked about it at great length. But there's only so much you can put into 2 1.5 or 2 90-minute parts, which are still crafted together so well. Sean Penn, who I just saw in One Battle After Another, and I knew immediately that you must have been interviewing him while he was shooting this because of his haircut.
Again, that's a Renzi question, because Renzi spends time with all these guys. But yeah, that would make sense.
That flat hair, and it's like, normally I'd be like, what's going on?
The thing you're talking about, making it a 3-hour thing, right? Yeah. In the journey of making this, there's so many different versions, and there was a longer version, and the casualty of that, and I hope that Charlie and Renzi wouldn't be upset with me sharing it with you, but the casualty of that was a really cool part of the movie to me, which is, and many casualties, but this was the thing that I miss, which is there was a little bit more of the childhood, right? So there was a section about their childhood growing up in Malibu, and it tapped into the Chris Penn relationship more than I think we get to in the movie, or at least in the first part of the movie. And so that idea that like Chris and Charlie were the younger brothers, and Emilio and Sean sort of didn't take them very seriously, but they were making all these movies. And Chris really started bringing it on these movies that they were making, and the acting was getting real and the movies were getting better, and Sean and Emilio sort of took notice of it, and then it got them all sort of going, and they all started making these movies, and there was like an energy to the 4 of them making these movies, and other people too, like, and then like you add Rob Lowe to some of them, right? Like it's just like this community of people who were all at Santa Monica High School, like making these movies, and then Chris Penn leaves. He one day on the quad, he's like, I'm going. So anyway,
they talked. He addressed. There was an address about the fact that Chris was in it more. I saw a quote from Charlie or something too, and I said they wanted, in respect to Sean and other things too, that they were at the time. They did mention pretty much that how beloved he was to them, and how creative he was. Are there things that happen? I think the audience is always kind of fascinated by this, as so am I. But when it comes to something like this, and something obviously so personal to someone like that, are there times where he's like, you know what, I talked about that, but I know that I said everything's on the table, but I really don't want that in there? And does he have to be convinced because it helps the story along?
I'm a director of something. I don't want to talk to you before the cameras are rolling. Like shake your hand and say hi. That would be true if I did your job too. Like let's get on. Let's
Right.
do it.
Right.
Renzi approaches it in the exact opposite way. Renzi is really mapping out his relationship, his conversation over hours and hours of sessions with all of these people, so that when you
It's like a deposition almost.
Yeah, when you sit down and the cameras are on, it's not to say that there isn't any discovery, revelation, or surprises within that, but the framework and the trust has really been set again, and that's his process. To me, sometimes it's like, what? How many hours are you talking to these people without the cameras rolling?
Right.
But that's how he gets what he gets, and he's sort of like a sniper. When he gets in there and a camera's rolling, he really knows what he's getting.
Makes sense, because it's like it's an interesting process, because you're mapping it out, and you're instilling trust there. It's not, we talked about this in the room. I'm not bringing up something that we didn't bring up in the room. We're bringing this up in the room like we did 3 or 4 times. Now it's on camera. You knew where I was going with it, and this is what we agreed to discuss. I get that. I think that there's something definitely where you're going to go down that road, that you're going to get it, and it's still okay. I'm going to map out everything. This will be interesting. I'm with you though too. I like the organic stuff sometimes when it comes out. Not to say that there weren't organic moments that happened in that, but I do like the unknown kind of. We didn't talk about what we were going to talk about today. It's just like let's just go. That's my style. That's your style, but clearly works for him because he got a lot of great stuff out of Charlie for sure.
But if we were doing the life interview, right, and going into like secrets and things that have only been shared in therapy or, it might be interesting for us to map out, even just like no different than you would do a rundown for a show. Like, we're going to do this, and then we're going to move into this stuff, and then I'm going to do this, right? Like that's when we're going to hit this stuff, right? Like, even that guide is interesting, and I've never done that as an interviewer.
I've definitely have those blueprints to where like I know that, and it's almost
internally for yourself, but to share it with the subject.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But hey, it clearly it worked, and so now it's out. It's doing well. It's getting a lot of buzz. Obviously, Roxy Striar just covered it on the show yesterday. So what happens, do you think, now with you guys with Boardwalk and everything? I would love to hear if you can what you're working on next. But I also want to know with Charlie, because a lot of times, sometimes someone will do a documentary. Oh, great, you talk about your past, this and that, and then good, it's great that you did that. It's therapeutic. He's the type of guy, he's probably going to wind up getting a big movie out of it, or he's probably going to wind up getting a show out of it. He probably already has. What do you foresee happening with Charlie Sheen after this?
More.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I still don't know what everybody's reaction is to it. I mean, you hit number one on Netflix, and that's like a certain drug again.
Sure.
But it's a certain currency in this town and in this business that we're in. It's just about whether somebody believes in somebody and wants to put them in the head of whether a TV show or a movie. Are they insurable on a movie?
Right.
Those are conversations I don't have with Charlie. But look, we also produced this month Fit for TV, which is the doc about The Biggest Loser that was on Netflix. Big hit. I mean, massive hit for us and Netflix, and not without controversy, right? Jillian Michaels going on TMZ and everything else, like a whole lot of conversation around it. And I'm just waiting for the announcement that The Biggest Loser is coming back.
Right.
Because now it's out there. It's back in the zeitgeist. Everybody's talking about it, and that's not crazy. And so
you're right. It's like one of these, like, oh yeah, because look, there's so much on television, there's so much in the movies that you, to nobody's fault, you forget about things. You go, oh, Charlie Sheen. I like Charlie Sheen. How come he's not in stuff? And then it's just a reminder of like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and there's a certain nostalgia to people like that. Yeah. I think Charlie has pointed out in his press tour how old his father was when he got the West Wing. And
he did, yeah.
And it's about the same age. And to think that Martin Sheen, everything of Martin Sheen pre-West Wing, and then this West Wing was this whole reimagination of who he was for this country, and for a whole generation. And so...
You know what it is, Andrew. You know what it is. I mean, you just had Naked Gun and Top Gun Maverick. Hot Shots Part 3 is right there. It's right there.
I wish that was my franchise, because that is the right idea. Like, seriously, right?
He's like, because literally the story of Top Gun Maverick is him years later coming back, and you have Topper coming back after years upon years, and you could play into a lot of jokes. And especially if they do it the way they did the new Naked Gun, that could work.
I think his most natural environment, if you asked him,
comedy, right?
I don't want to speak for him, but I think if he were around a baseball field, like, man, the major league writers should be writing something, because if he were around a baseball field, he'd be a very happy guy.
Oh, man, having him have Ricky Vaughn as a manager or something would be amazing. All right, before I let you go, so I always ask you this on the way out. Boardwalk, what's the latest? What's the next big project that we're going to be talking about next?
I should have been prepared better for that answer. We have a lot of stuff that we're working on, and yet we were building to this Charlie Sheen release for so long that I don't even know what my release schedule is right now. But look, we're very proud of the ongoing nature of our series, right? We're in production on another season of Welcome to Wrexham. We're in production on another season of America's Sweethearts, the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders. As we look back over the last, I think, like month and a half with America's Sweethearts and Fit for TV and AKA Charlie Sheen, it's 3 number one titles on Netflix and a couple of categories there, and that's exciting. And we won a few Emmys last week for Welcome to Wrexham and for Chef's Table. We won our
Congratulations.
first Emmy for Chef's Table in our history.
That's crazy. The first one. Congratulations, obviously, but that show should have gotten it a long time ago. But that's great.
It's one of those, but for original music, which was cool, that our first Emmy for that. Yeah, it's more. It's keeping going what we've been lucky to be doing, and then I'll share the announcements with you when we can.
Please, the empire continues, and as I tell everybody, you got to really go and check out. Just go ahead and check out Andrew Freed on IMDb, and you look at all the stuff that he's done. I told you I was getting texts from people going, "Oh, you got to check out this Charlie Sheen doc," and people who know you, I'm like, "Oh, that's Boardwalk's project." And they're like, "Oh, that's great," because everybody's watching it. So, and there's so many different projects you've done like that, and I can't wait to see what you do next. Andrew Freed, ladies and gentlemen, it's always a pleasure having him on the show, and we'll have him on really soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kristian.
All right. Thank you to Andrew. Thank you to you guys. I always love talking to my buddy Andrew, obviously, and not just because he's my buddy, because he's just, I feel like, especially for today, I thought it was appropriate because when we're going to start doing these shows with like industry ideas and things that people who are curious about this business, and not only just the people that are in front of the camera, but the people that really make them work, and like the minds behind them. And I was like, well, that's a kind of perfect person to have, especially that we're having, this big documentary that's on about Charlie Sheen. And I was like, well, I know that one of the guys that's responsible for it. So I'm glad that you guys got an opportunity to hear Andrew. And it was funny because I told him we were going to pre-tape it and put it in there. He's like, well, why can't I do it live? And I was like, of course you can do it live. It's just a matter. Yesterday didn't work out, and today and doing like he'll come on for a full 2 hour. He really does and genuinely love the community that we have here, and how kind of he's looked at the comments and the things that we've talked about when I put him in the clips channel. So it's a very welcoming place that you guys have given. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do one more story, and then we're going to try to do some questions here, and I'm going to give you some updates on the pilot. We're going to have some conversations, and you can bring up some new suggestions. I'm trying to catch 77, and you guys got me to 4 so far. It's fucked up. No, I'm just kidding. But it doesn't look like I'm going to catch Mike and Roxy just yet, but who knows? We're on for quite a while last week, and we wound up getting like 95. So, all right, let me bring this up first. And this is going to be a story here that the other day there was, I think it was James Gunn was on Howard Stern, and he revealed that Dave Bautista was the number one choice for Peacemaker. And he says, well, this is why I turned it down, even though he was the number one choice. He said DC Studios co-CEO James Gunn recently revealed that his plan was for Dave Bautista to play Peacemaker in the Suicide Squad and beyond. Now the actor has explained why he turned it down. Last week, James Gunn revealed that Dave Bautista was his top pick. That had that happened, the pro wrestler would have suited up as Chris Smith in the 2021 movie, 2 seasons of Peacemaker, Superman, and likely 2027's Man of Tomorrow. John Cena ended up being cast in the role, and Gunn put the Drax actor's absence down to money and scheduling. Talking to comicbook.com, Bautista broke his silence on turning down the role and revealed whether he has regrets. He said, I have to say, that one, I really wanted to do that part. Gunn wrote that part for me, and it was meant for me, and just became a scheduling thing where I just couldn't do it because I was doing Army of the Dead. And so it was a scheduling issue that we just could not figure out. And I think it was great. It was a blessing in disguise that I didn't do that, because I have to say, I have to be honest, there's no way that I would have been able to do that role like John. He's just perfect for it, and I wouldn't have done it justice. It wouldn't have been as successful. He added, so look, and I'm saying that with every bit of envy. I would love it. I just wouldn't have been able to do the same thing that John does to bring to that character. It wouldn't have been the same. It wouldn't have been as good. I can honestly say that it wouldn't have been as good. Batista had bid farewell to the MCU after playing Drax in the Guardians franchise. Army of the Dead didn't spawn a new horror franchise at Netflix. We got a pretty forgettable prequel, and the plug was ultimately pulled on an animated prequel. Still, while the Dune star didn't get to join the DC universe, he has found plenty of successes away from the world of superheroes. Batista remains eager to join Gunn in the DCU, but admits he might now be a little long in the tooth to transform into his dream role, Bane. I wrote the character Peacemaker for him. We offered him the role. That's what he said on Stern. Okay. I absolutely loved the answer from Dave Bautista. He said, look, yeah, I wanted to do it. It was written for me. He wanted me to do it. I wanted to do it. Couldn't do it. Scheduling. And then with class said, but what John did, you can't even imagine. Because John Cena is really great in the role. I mean, he's great. He's great in the role. And it won a lot of people over if you weren't already Cena fans. And I was never disliked Cena. I just never thought he was great in movies. I thought, like I'd mentioned previous times, I thought he was really good in Trainwreck. There was something else I think he was fine in. Didn't like him in Bumblebee and other things. I was like, didn't really transition. And I don't know if he's got the chops. And I was proven wrong in both the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. He's fantastic in both of those. And he really has found this is his career role so far. He really understands it. Now, the one thing I say, I think Batista's being a little hard on himself. He's like, I don't think it would have been as successful. I don't know if that's true. It would have been very different. But I don't know. Bautista is still recognized as the best actor from most people out of all of the wrestlers that have gone into acting. He is still recognized as the top actor. Now, The Rock, I think, as until recently, has been like the number 3. I think Cena was number 2. And then you look at The Rock at number 3. Now, we'll see what happens with the Smashing Machine, because you know how everybody is. Even your answer, what I would accept is, even if he's good in the Smashing Machine, it's only one role outside of his normal stuff that he does, minus, like, I guess, Faster. And what was the other one he did? Whatever. There's a few other ones, but for the most part, it's been The Rock consistently. So, like, he's got to do more. It's not how it's going to work. Especially if he gets nominated for an Oscar, and if he wins the Oscar, but if he gets nominated for an Oscar, so it's nominated for a bunch of awards, he's going to quickly he's going to go past John Cena, and it's going to be him and Bautista. Snitch was the other one. Thank you. So let's see how that turns out to be. But Bautista is recognized as one of the best, and that's not the best right now. And so him saying, well, it wouldn't have been as good. I think he's being humble. I think he's, also being a little hard on himself. It would have been very different, but I still think a Dave Bautista Peacemaker, Dave Bautista can be funny. Obviously, you look at what he did with Drax. I thought he was really good in Naked Gun. Short scene, but really good in that. He's got good comedic timing. But yes, I do think John Cena was the right person for the role. I just don't buy into it wouldn't have been as successful. I also have to catch up with Peacemaker where it is right now. Looks like people are disappointed with it. I liked it. The last one I saw, 3, I dug. But apparently 4 wasn't that great. So we shall see. No, I didn't. And I have to catch up on Alien Earth too. That's one of those shows. I'm in that zone with that show where in the same way I was in the zone with, like, whether it was like something like Seinfeld or something else, where I acknowledge how good the show is, but I'm not rushing back to see it. And I know, and it's like every time I watch it, and when I'm watching, this is a really good show. But I'm not like, I can't go without missing an episode. I'll let it go I think I'm like 2 or 3 behind now. I'll tell you, I'm watching Task right now, and Task is one of those shows where I want to see every new episode when it pops. Tulsa King season 3 is it 3? Yes, 3. That's coming out this weekend. I know that I guess Generation V just dropped, but here's the problem when shows drop. Did they all drop at once, or is it just the first 3? If it's just the first 3, then that's encouraging. When they all drop at once, I probably won't watch it when it all drops at once, because I'm like, it's too intimidating to have to watch it all now. First 3, okay, It's the first 3. Then maybe I'll watch it. First 3. I would much rather do first 3 than the whole season. Stranger Things is probably something I'll break that rule. There's a few that'll break that rule, but a lot of times, like, no. All right, what'd you think? What do you think about Bautista's comments? Do you think this is he's being unfair? Could he have made it work? Would you like to see him as Peacemaker? The other thing that we should definitely discuss is I think you guys know as well as I do, he's going to be in the DCU. I don't think he'll play Bane. I think he's right. I think at this point, probably tougher to do. And he doesn't want to get that big again. He's gotten himself into, I think, healthier shape. And not that he was unhealthy before, but there's only so long you can be that big. I mean, look at The Rock. The Rock's cutting away too. So I think he will definitely be in the DCU. The question is, at what capacity? All right. Put your thoughts in there. Let me know. Whether it's the whatever channel, whatever it is, if it's here live on the replay, on the Clips channel. I hope you guys have been watching the Clips channel. Really want to know. All right. So as I promised, I want to get, I really can't even tell you how much, because Luke texted me this morning. He was like, I really hope that you get into another conversation with the audience the way you did a couple of weeks ago, because it was just such an enjoyable conversation and hearing them and where you're going with it. And so the audience like really likes to get your updates on what you're doing. And I said, I think that's nice. And we'll definitely do it. And I think what's fair at this point, because as I mentioned to you, where the pilot stands right now, Martini, whose real name is Martini and I wrote our pilot, got it to the director and producer, and they had said, okay, look, this is what we want to do. Because we intentionally wrote it a little longer, because traditionally, comedy pilots are going to run between 30 pages to 34 pages, depending on what it is you're streaming. It's like a page a minute, right? So we wanted to give ourselves a little bit more room. I'd rather cut than have to add. And we had, I think, like 42, 43 pages with, some dialogue and a little bit more of the backstory. And then there was a scene up top that we talked about when we cut it. So basically, what both the director and the producer were like, okay, if you can get this to this point, then we really want you to put together a cast list for the we want you to put together a cast list for the ideal roles of who you think you'd want to play this, because we know that it's going to be you and Martini in the 2 lead roles. And then obviously, and we took no offense to this and understood it, it's the same thing we would have said, no one's going to know who we are. You got to build around us, right? So we were talking about it on the show 2 weeks ago, certain characters and certain ideas and lists of names of who could play this. And we put together this list and like, okay, we're going to get this to them. And then the goal and the next step is that they look at that, they put it together, they essentially line produce and say, well, all right, if we get 3 of these names and we're going to need X amount of dollars at a minimum to make this work. We're also trying to get a DP that has worked on many things before. We want to really, like I said, most of these pilots, when they launch, whether it's a Hulu pilot or a whatever, you're looking at anywhere between $700,000 to $1 million. Now, realistically, it ain't happening with us, but we're going to set a number and see what we can do as far as, okay, let's say X amount of dollars is what we're setting the bar at. If we hit that, we'll probably be able to accomplish this. If we exceed that, then we can probably accomplish that. So that's essentially what we're going to be doing. Let's get to some other ones here. Let's go. Tim, Fantastic Four digitally out next Tuesday. Reaction video next week. Yes, we are. Sam already has blocked it out. We're seeing it. We're going to be watching it on Tuesday. Yes, that's already. She's going to be all caught up with the MCU. So, Ralph, you said you might need to see Caught Stealing and to see how you feel about it. You feel the same way about one battle, or you definitely love it? One battle is I loved the style of it. I loved what was going on. I just don't think everybody else. If you don't love Paul Thomas Anderson, then you definitely not gonna think it's such a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, even though it's different than its other stuff. But yeah, the difference is, and whether this is a way to review a movie per se on, it's a very, look, Caught Stealing is a very well-made movie. I love Aronofsky, love him. And it's a very well-made movie. I just didn't love the characters and the story as much as I wanted to. One Battle was pretty much the story that I was expecting, although it wasn't as traditional, obviously. So I just responded to the story and the characters more of One Battle, if that tells you anything. Ziki Numalunga, Fart, agreed. Okay, so that's a good casting choice, Fart. Appreciate it. Let's see, next one is Sean Pedersel. Can you send my resume to Mr. Freed? I'm sure people send their resume all the time. And that's but yeah, no, you can next time he's on, we'll do live and you can talk to him for sure. So let's see. Okay. The next one after this. So we got 7 right now. It's gonna be a short show today. So it is. And we got Sean Petersel, who was on the last one there. Appreciate it. Okay. After that one, just going down the line, here's Nathan Drake. Barnaby and Finstock show soon. Oh my God, no! Barnaby went to the game with us last night, and I can't remember something that he said something crazy, and I remember I turned to my friend James and I said, "See, this is why I don't have him on the show." He's one thing like that, and that's the end of the show. Nathan Drake. I don't know if Alien Earth can stick the landing. I'm a huge Alien fan, but this last episode was a mess, and parts felt like a bad Sci-Fi Channel movie. Well, that's not good. I've heard nothing but good things about it, but that was the last episode. I guess that didn't work out. That's not good at all. See, someone said episode 6 and 7 were kind of awful. People are saying here. Oh, that's not good to know. Man. Okay. Let's apparently have to watch season 4 of The Boys before I watch Jen. It's too much homework. Forget it. I have other things to watch then. I won't watch it then. It's too much homework. That's so much homework to watch television these days. Go, pal, throw in some support. Thank you. Can't find the Dark Knight video. It's Sam. What do you mean? It's on the channel. Just go to videos on this channel. Albert Matthew Rath. Brett's kid for the daughter role. I did put, well, the funny thing is that I I put on there was Julia Butters from Freakier Friday. So that's I put that in there. And why didn't I watch season 4 of The Boys? I just never got to it. And by the time I did, I was like, Anyway, so seems like a different crowd here today. Don't want to talk about the industry and stuff. So no sweat. We'll be back here tomorrow with Steph and I. So thanks for being here. And we'll see you on the flip side. Bye.